Hi, my wonderful friends. We're back, and my kitty, Mia, has come to join us. I'm going to move her out of the way. Get Mia. I am going to read a wonderful, wonderful bit of information from our K-12 World Magazine Critter and Creature Stories. So we'll start out with bonjour and hello. It's so wonderful to see you, Mia. It's time to go. She's okay. And this is specifically for my INDLS First Grade Fabulous and Fabulos and Fabulous First Grade. But I hope many of you tune in just to enjoy the fun reading. Now, this is specifically for week 3, day 3, and day 4, which is 2.5 and 2.6 in this wonderful magazine, Critter and Creature Stories, page 2 to 15. And as always, let's remember our 3 times rule. The first time, I'd like you to listen to me read and look at the pictures and enjoy them. The second time I read it, see if you can follow along as much as you can with the words. And then, if you'd like to try, I would love you the third time, try reading it to your learning coach or reading it with your learning coach. And learning coaches, it's always helpful if you can at least point out some of the words that maybe your fabulous student can sound out and help, even if the text may be a little advanced. Okay, so we're going to get right to it on page 2. And this whole passage is called Telling Stories Around the World. And we've been doing that. Do you remember um, the the tale of the girl with the little blue bonnet? Think that's it. It's over there. And the other story was, oh, wait, it is called The Legend of the Blue Bonnet. And our other story that we just read the other day was The Little Dipper. And if you remember, the wonderful girl was so kind. And the more she shared that water with everyone, the dipper changed from tin to silver to gold to made of bright diamonds. Okay, page 2, getting into it, telling stories around the world. All right, now, oh, remember, kiddos, go ahead and get your magazine, and you can pause the video and then come right back. Ready? Hajime. All right, you're back. Okay, let's do this. Telling stories around the world. And let's do a quick picture walk. Okay, so I see on page 2 and 3 a lot of wonderful friends sitting around. It looks like a campfire, and they're listening to someone, it looks like, tell stories. On the next page, I see a rabbit up top in grass, and I see maybe a turtle on the bottom or a tortoise. And look at page 5. Ooh, I like that one. Look at all the flowers. And I still see the tortoise and that hare. Turn the page, and oh, now the background is orange and it says African stories. And I see words that are bold, that stand out: tradition, beliefs, response. Those are going to be important words. And I see what looks like African storytellers reading to other students. And there's a caption on page 6. It says, "The audience participates in call and response storytelling." Okay, we're going to turn the page. Ooh, I see more bold words, and now it's all blue. One of the words on page 8, ooh, it helps me pronounce it. Griots, griots. Okay. On page 9, oh, I see up close what's going on. And another caption, villagers gather around the griots during a wedding in the African country of Mauritania. That's a tough one. Now, I also notice on page 9 that there's spiders, and one says, "I am Tricky Anansi." I have that story, Anansi the spider. I'm going to have to read that sometime. Turn the page. Ooh, and now we're on Native American stories, and I see lots of captions. On page 10, a Native American storyteller of the Apache tribe tells a story. And then another one with the doll, Native American storyteller doll from the Jemez Pueblo tribe. Now look at page 11. Oh, I see a coyote. And another caption, Coyote is a popular character in Native American stories. And then look down below. That's a powwow. I've always wanted to see one. Storytelling is part of Native American powwows, special events held to honor nature. And we're going to learn about Native Americans too. Turn the page. Ooh, it's green. Irish stories. And I see more of those bold words. I see the word trained and ordinary. Oh, now look on page 13, and I still see another storyteller. I'm getting a hint here. And that word, it even helps you pronounce it, leprechauns. Leprechauns. Have you heard that word before? Okay, turn the page 14 and 15. Oh, it's a dark, beautiful blue. And it says storytelling today. And on page 15, there's another bold word, actors. Now, looking on page 14 again, I see lots of people enjoying it. Looks like they're telling stories. And I see one more caption up top. Anybody could be a storyteller. Just share a story with family and friends. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. We've been talking about characters and settings. This one's tough. There are lots of characters and settings, but the main character in this story kind of changes. It's all about a storyteller or storytellers. Okay, we're going to get going. Page 2, telling stories around the world. I'm going to read on page 3. Make sure you pay attention to those pictures, please. Do you have a favorite kind of story? Maybe you like fairy tales or funny stories about animals. Children have been enjoying stories for a very long time. In fact, people have been telling each other stories for thousands of years. Why do people tell stories? One reason is simple. Stories are fun. But that's not all. Long ago, no one had a radio, television, or computer. Most people could not even read or write. Instead, they told stories. Turn the page 4. Many stories have a special purpose. Some stories share useful information or teach important lessons. You may know the story of the race between the tortoise and the hare. The slow tortoise keeps walking while the fast hare takes a long break. In the end, the tortoise wins. This story teaches us not to give up and to keep trying. Long ago, people often told how and why stories. How did the moon get into the sky? Why does the giraffe have a long neck? These stories helped people make sense of the world. I'm going to stop there real quick. Can you make a connection to the story The Little Dipper? Remember we talked about how and why in the lessons? So that story explains how the Little Dipper star constellation got in the sky. Last paragraph in the bottom, N-I-N. In many places, these kinds of stories are still popular. Let's take a trip around the world to learn more about the stories people tell. That's our setting, the whole world. Do you remember who the main character group is? Page 6. Oh, I'm going to read on page 7. African stories. Many different groups of people live in Africa. Each group has its own way of life that is passed from parents to children. And I'm going to stop again. Kiddos and learning coaches, if you have your globe, our blow up globe, can you find the country of Africa? Okay, second paragraph, parts of writing, telling, T-E-L-L. Telling stories is one important African tradition. African children learn about their group's past and beliefs from stories. Some groups even have special ways, of telling their stories. Stories from the Igbo people use call and response. The teller says one line of the story, and then listeners shout out, mom, yay, a mom, yay. That means something like, yes, I agree. Mom, yay. Oh, I hope some students remember that and tell it to me next week. Turn the page, page 8. In West Africa, people listen to skilled storytellers called griots. Griots must practice for many years. They learn hundreds of stories by heart. Griots and other African storytellers often tell stories about animals. Many tales are about a spider named Anansi. He gets what he wants by tricking other creatures. Some African storytellers say Anansi is the smartest animal of all. Fabulosi fabulous. Can you look on page 9 and tell me what kind of animal is Anansi? Turn the page, page 10. Native American stories. Like Africans, Native Americans tell stories about the animals that live around them. Native Americans who live in the desert often tell stories about coyote. Like Anansi, coyote is very smart and tricky. Native American tales honor animals like coyote as part of nature. Focusing on nature is part of the Native American way of life. I'm going to stop again. Do you notice coyote is capital? Because coyote is its name. Just like Anansi is the spider's name and has a capital A. Your name has a capital letter too in the beginning. Okay, page 11. Many Native American stories tell about a group's beliefs and way of life. Some tell about spirits that the group honors. Others tell about the group's past. These stories help Native Americans pass along their traditions from parents to children. Let me stop again. Where do Native Americans live? Do you hear? Americans. Native Americans live in America. They were the first people to live in the country that we live in now, America. That's why they're called Native. They have always been here, Native Americans. Okay, go ahead and turn the page to 12. Irish stories. Oh, this is another good one if you want to get out your globe and see if you can find this country I'm about to say. Long ago in Ireland, trained storytellers worked for chiefs and princes. These storytellers knew many stories, poems, and songs by heart. They told stories about the past. They told fairy tales and scary stories. They even told jokes. Ordinary Irish folk liked stories too. They especially liked stories about magical creatures. I'm going to stop. What do you think ordinary means? And what do you think trained means? Page 13. On long winter evenings, they gathered around warm fires to trade tales about fairies, ghosts, and leprechauns. In the 1900s, things began to change. People no longer sat around winter fires to share stories. Instead, they gather around the radio or television. People seem to lose interest in traditional storytelling. Go ahead and turn the page, page 14. Look at those pictures. I'm going to read page 15. Storytelling today. Luckily, many people around the world refuse to give up their stories. Some of these people belong to storytelling groups. Group members learn old stories and make up new ones. They save stories from the past and they keep the storytelling tradition alive. Today you can hear storytellers in many places. Libraries often have story hours for children. Actors tell stories in theaters. Teachers tell stories in school. Parents tell stories to their children and learning coaches. Storytellers even perform on the radio and television. What stories do you know? Try telling one to a friend or a family member. You can be a storyteller too. By the way, you can also be recorded, and I would love to hear you tell a story. Yo te amo. I love you so much, and I'll see you real soon. Hasta luego.